Hello everyone! Welcome to this session where we will explore one of the most important parts of learning English, tenses. Tenses help us talk about time. They tell us when something happens, in the past, present, or future. For example, if you want to say what you are doing right now, you will use the present tense. If you want to talk about something you did yesterday, you will use the past tense. And to talk about what you will do tomorrow, you use the future tense. So, in this lesson, we'll make tenses easy to understand with simple examples and clear explanations. By the end, you will know how to use the right tenses at the right time. Let's get started! Welcome to the introduction of tenses. So, as we know, tenses in English are used to express when an action occurs in the past, present, or future. Each tenses can show more specific details, like whether the action is ongoing, completed, or will happen at certain times. First, present tense. Present tense talks about actions that are happening now or that happen regularly. Simple present is the part of present tense. For the functions, it describes habits, routines, general, facts, or truths. It is also used for scheduled events in the future or especially with transportation or timetables. So, for the example, I eat breakfast every day, and the sun rises in the east. That form is subject plus base verb, add s or es for the third person singular. Next, present continuous or present progressive. It describes actions happening right now. The function is to talk about something that is happening right now or something temporary. Used for actions happening around the current time but not necessarily at the moment of speaking. For example, temporary situations that can also describe future plans. For example, I'm eating lunch right now. And second example, she is studying for her exam this week. So next, the second is the past tense as the part of the tenses. The past tense talks about actions that started and ended in the past. The past tense talks about things that have already happened. So next is the simple past as the part of past tense. The function is to describe actions or events that were completed at a specific time in the past. That means to talk about actions that were completed in the past, and often used with the time expression like yesterday, last week, in the 1990, and etc. For the example, I visited my grandmother yesterday. And also, the second example, they played football last weekend. And the next, past continuous or past progressive. This function is to talk about actions that were happening at a specific time in the past. As describes action that were in the progress at a specific time in the past and used to show that an action was interrupted by another event. And past continuous can also describe two actions happening simultaneously in the past. For example, first, I was watching TV when you called. Second example, she was cooking dinner when it started raining. And the third is the future tense as the part of tenses. The future tense talks about things that will happen. Yeah, it's same like the future tense talks about actions that will happen. So part of future tense include simple future. As the simple future function is to talk about actions that will happen in the future, and it describes actions or events that will happen in the future, and often used with the predictions, promises, offers, and decisions made at the moment of the speaking. For example, I will travel to Paris next month. She will study tonight. Go on to the next. Future continuous as the future progressive. We usually call this future continuous as the future progressive. So the function of the future continuous is to talk about actions that will be happening at a specific time in the future. And it describes actions that will be in the progress at a specific time in the future. And it shows an ongoing action at a certain future moment. For example, at 8 p.m. tonight, I will be watching a movie. Tomorrow at this time, they will be flying to London. Okay, go on to the next as a fourth of the part tenses, present perfect tense. The present perfect tense talks about actions that start in the past but are connected to the present. And this connects past action to the present, and it is used when the exact time of the past action is not important or when the result is still relevant now. As the part of present perfect tense is present perfect tense here. It's just one, actually. And the function present perfect is to talk about actions that happen at a specific time before now, or actions that started in the past and continue now. As we know, that describes actions that happen at some unspecific time before now. It also describes action that started in the past and continue into the present, and often used with the words like ever, never, just, already, yet, for, since. For the example, I have finished my homework, or we don't say when. And also, she has lived in the New York for 5 years, or she still lives there. And then the past perfect tense. Past perfect tense talks about actions that were complete before another action in the past. The past perfect tense is used to show that one action happened before another action in the past and shows the past of the past. The past perfect, the function is to describe an action that was complete before another action or even in the past, and also often used with conjunctions like before, after, when. And it also shows that one action happened before another action in the past. Like the example, I had eaten dinner before you called. They had finished the project by the time the boss arrived. Next, future perfect tense. The future perfect talks about actions that will be complete before a certain time in the future. The future perfect tense shows an action that will be complete before a specific time in the future. So future perfect function to talk about something that will have been done before a specific point in the future, and it describes an action that will be completed before a certain future time or event, and it's often used with a process like by or by the time. For example, by next week, I will have finished the book. By 5 p.m. tomorrow, they will have left the office. So, for the summary of tenses, as we know, the present tense include the simple present and the present continuous. And the simple present describes habits, general truth, or scheduled event. And the present continuous describes actions happening now or temporary actions. And then the second is past tense, includes simple past and a past continuous. And also simple past describes action complete in the past, and the past continuous describe ongoing action in the past or actions interrupted by others. And the third, future tense. The future tense include simple future and the future continuous. The simple future describes actions that will happen in the future, and the future continuous describes actions that will be in progress at the specific future time. And the fourth is perfect tenses. The perfect tenses include three kinds. First, present perfect, past perfect, and the future perfect. For the present perfect describes past action with a connection to the present, and the past perfect describes actions completed before another past action, and the future perfect describes actions that will be completed before a specific future time. So with these tenses, you can describe actions and events in a clear and specific ways, showing exactly when things happen and how they relate to another one. Okay, thank you. And if you have any question, just email us. Have a good day. We go on to the first part of tenses. First, simple present tense. Simple present tense is divided into two types of sentences, nominal and verbal. Because they serve different purposes and have different structures, this division helps us understand how to use sentences in different situations. First, nominal simple present tense or non-action sentences. Nominal sentences are used when we talk about a state, condition, or description, not an action. These sentences don't have action verbs. Instead, they use the verb to be or am, is, are to describe or give information about the subject. The to be verb links the subject to something else, like a noun, for example, person or thing, an adjective, for example, description, or a prepositional phrase, for example, location. And the second is a verbal simple present tense. Verbal sentences are used when we talk about actions or habits. These sentences use action verbs like play, read, eat, and if the subject is he, she, or it, we add s or es to the verb. For other subjects, I, you, we, they, we use the best form of the verb. Any question? So we go on to the next. Thank you. Okay, this session is about nominal simple present tense. As we know, nominal simple present tense is a type of simple present tense sentence that does not have a verb. Instead, it uses a linking verb or to be to connect the subject of the sentence to a noun, adjective, adverb that describe it. So the formula subject plus to be plus noun or adjective or adverb. Please take a note of this formula. And then the example of sentences. First, examples of positive sentences, like the form subject plus to be plus noun. The example, I am a student. I is subject. Am is to be. A student is a noun. She is a doctor. She is a subject. Is to be a doctor, noun. They are artists. They subject are to be artist, noun. And then the example of negative sentences, the form subject plus to be plus not plus noun. For the example, I am not a student. I, subject, am to be, not is not, a student, none. And also, she is not a doctor. She, subject, is to be, not, a doctor, none. They are not artists. They, subject, are to be, not, artist, noun. And for example of interrogative sentence, to be plus subject plus noun. And this example, am I a student? Am to be, I subject, a student, noun. Is to be, she subject, a doctor, noun. Are to be, they subject, artist, noun. And the next, for the other examples, subject plus to be plus adjective. I am happy. I subject am to be happy adjective. This part is include the adjective. You are clever, she is tall, they are tired, she is beautiful, and etc. Subject plus to be plus adverb. If this is using adverb, I am here. You are in the kitchen. She is at work. They are at school. You are in the hospital. And the adverb is always the part of the last sentence. Like, I am happy here. I, subject, am to be happy adjective here, adverb. You get the point? Okay, please change into negative and interrogative sentence. Okay, I mean, you have already make it, the negative and interrogative sentences. So let's go on to the question time. If you have any question, just email us. Thank you and have a good day. We go on to the next verbal simple present tense. Alright. As we know, verbal simple tense is used to describe actions that happen regularly, habitually, or in the present moment. It is formed using the best form of the verb with the addition of an s or es to the verb if the subject is the third person singular he, she, it. So go on to the formula. Subject plus verb 1 s or es plus complement. So let's take a look for the example of sentences. First, the positive sentences. Subject plus verb 1 s or es plus complement. I eat breakfast every morning. I subject eat verb 1 breakfast every morning. Breakfast verb 1 every morning complement. So this is not added by s or es. S or es will be adding when we meet the she, he, it, the third person singular. So let's take a look to the second example. She works at a bank. That we see the she works using s by adding s, that the function she, he, it. We should add s or es on the sentence. She subject works verb 1 by adding s or es. At a bank is a complement. He plays football on the weekends. He subject plays verb 1 by adding s or es. Football on the weekend is a complement and is a track. They live in a big house and we study English every day, and also it rains a lot in Indonesia. So for the negative sentences, the form is subject plus the do or does plus not plus the verb 1 plus complement. And the example, I don't eat breakfast every morning. I subject don't is the stand for from the do or does plus not. And also eat verb 1 plus complement breakfast every morning. She doesn't work at a bank. She subject doesn't is the stand for does plus not. Work is a verb 1. At the bank is a complement and is a track. He doesn't play football on the weekends, and also they don't live in the big house, and we don't study English every day, and also it doesn't rain a lot in Indonesia, and is a truck. And we take a look on the next example of the sentences. The examples of interrogative sentences for the formula do or does plus subject plus the verb 1 plus complement. For the example, do I eat breakfast every morning? Do's plus I as a subject plus eat as a verb 1. Breakfast every morning is a complement. And also does plus she as a subject, work as a verb 1, and the bank as a complement and as a track. Does he play football on the weekends? Do they live in a big house? Do we study English every day? Does it rain a lot in Indonesia? And also the other example, I love chocolate. I subject love verb chocolate complement. That's right. He hates spiders. And also we should add s or es after the singular, the third person of singular. She wants to be a doctor. They enjoy reading books. we need to go to the store, it appears that it's going to rain, and etc. And please change all of this into negative and interrogative sentences. Okay, thank you. This is for the question time. If you have any question, just email us. Thank you. So we go on to the verbal simple past tense. As we know, verbal simple past tense is used to talk about actions that happen in the past and are finished, and it is formed by using the second form of a verb, also known as the verb to or the past simple past tense form of the verb. For the regular verbs, the second form is created by adding ed to the end of the verb. For example, walk to be walk by adding ed, talk it, play it, work it, walk it. So and then the irregular verbs. For the irregular verbs, the second form is different from the best form. For the example, go, went, have, had, be, was or were, do, did. So we go on to the formula. Subject plus verb to plus complement. Next to the examples of sentences. The example of positive sentences. As the formula, subject plus the verb to plus complement. I ate dinner last night. I as subject, ate as the verb to dinner last night as a complement. He played football yesterday afternoon. He as subject, played as a verb to football yesterday afternoon as the complement, and so on. She went to the cinema last week. We studied for the exam last month. They visited their grandparents last summer. And go on to the negative sentences. As the formula, subject plus did not plus verb 1. I did not eat dinner last night. I as subject, did not eat as a verb 1, and dinner last night as a complement. And also he did not play football yesterday afternoon. He as subject, did not play as the verb 1 and the football yesterday afternoon as a complement, and so on. She did not go to the cinema last week. We did not study for the exam last month. And they did not visit their grandparents last summer. Let's go on to the next example of sentences as the interrogative sentences. For the formula, did plus subject plus the verb 1. For the example, did you eat dinner last night? Did, you as the subject, eat as the verb 1. Dinner last night as a complement. And also, did he play football yesterday afternoon? Did as a did, he as a subject, play as the verb 1, and a football yesterday afternoon as a complement. And also, did she go to the cinema last week? Did we study for the exam last month? Did they visit their grandparents last summer? And next is the other examples. I wrote a letter to my friend. I as subject wrote as the verb to a letter as a complement to my friend. So, and also she cooked a delicious meal and he cleaned the house. They played a game of basketball. And don't forget, for this tense, we also always use for the positive sentence using the verb to for subject plus verb to plus object or complement. Yeah, I think if you want to change this other example to be negative and interrogative sentences, just email us if you have any questions. See you soon. Have a good day. Hello. So as we know about the continuous tense, there are three parts: present continuous, past continuous, and a future continuous. So we will take a look for the present continuous tense. As what I explained before, you have already know about the continuous and the simple continuous and the simple present continuous tense. The simple present continuous tense, also known as the present progressive tense, is used to talk about actions that are happening now or around now or for a temporary situation. For the formula, subject plus am or is or are or to be plus the verb ing plus complement. We go on to the next example of the positive sentences. For the formula, subject plus am or is or are or that are called to be plus verb ing plus complement. And the example, I am eating a sandwich. I as subject, am as a to be, or am or is or are that called to be. So eating as the verb ing, verb is eat, and plus ing that you can see eating. Eat is the verb, ing is the adding. So a sandwich as a complement or an object. So she is working on the project. She as a subject is as to be, working as a verb ing on the project as a complement. They are playing soccer. They as a subject are as a to be, playing as a verb ing, and the soccer as object or complement. That we not really seldom, but we often call object, not complement. If the complement is always using by the preposition like on, in, above, below, and etc. And it is raining here. Its subject is to be, raining verb ing, and here is the complement. The bird are singing. The bird subject are to be, singing as the verb ing. Why it is nothing the complement? It's also that can use without the complement. The important thing is just subject, to be, and a verb ing. That have already explained that the birds are singing and we don't know what the birds singing about. We actually don't know about it. And also the negative sentences, the formula as a subject plus am or is or are as a to be plus not plus verb ing plus complement. For the example, I am not eating a sandwich. I as subject, am as to be, not as not eating as a verb ing. A sandwich is a complement. She is not working on the project. She as a subject is as a to be, not as not, working as a verb ing, on the project as a complement. They are not playing soccer, and so on. It is not raining here. The birds are not singing. And we go on to the next. About the interrogative sentences. I am or is like the form, as you can see. Am or is or are plus subject plus a verb in plus complement. For the example, am I eating a sandwich? Am as a to be, I as a subject, eating as a verb in, a sandwich as an object or complement. Is she working on the project? Is as a to be, subject as a she as a subject, working as a verb in, and on the project as a complement, and so on. Are they playing soccer? It is raining here. Are the birds singing? Okay, let's take a look to the other examples. The simple present continuous tense can also be used to talk about future plans that are already arranged or decided. For example, I am going to the cinema tonight. I as a subject am as to be, going as the verb in, to the cinema tonight as the complement. We are flying to New York on the Monday. We as a subject are as a to be, flying as a verb in, to the New York on the Monday as the complement, and so on. She is starting her new job next week. You get that point? So this is for the additional explanation. Here are some other common uses of the simple present continuous tense. First, to describe an action that is in still progress, like I'm still writing my paper. That's I already gone to the progress for writing my paper. So to describe a temporary situation, as we know, for the past example that I have told you, and then to describe an action that is happening repeatedly or frequently. I am studying at my class. So to describe a future plan that is already arranged or decided, like the other example before. So to express annoyance or irritation, for the example, stop talking. Yeah, below are some examples of it. To describe an action that is in progress, the train is leaving now. That's still in progress. And also to describe a temporary situation, I'm staying at my friend's house this weekend. And also describe an action that is happening repeatedly. He is always complaining, over and over, repeat and repeat, always. So we are meeting for lunch tomorrow to describe a future plan that is already arranged or decided. And also express annoyance or irritation, like stop talking. Okay, thank you. For the next is question time. If you have any question, just email us on the link box below. Thank you. Have a good day. Okay, next is about simple past continuous tense. As we know, simple past continuous tense, also known as the past progressive tense, is used to describe an action or situation that was happening or ongoing at a specific time in the past. It is formed using the past tense of the verb to be, was or were, and the present participle of the main verb, the ing form. So as the formula, subject plus am or is or are plus verb ing plus complement. Go on to the next about the example of sentences. The example of positive sentences for the formula subject plus was or were plus verb ing. As the example, I was eating lunch when you called. I as a subject, was as a was or were, eating as the verb ing. Lunch as the object when you called as a complement. And also, they were playing basketball when it started to rain. They as a subject, were as a was or were, and the playing as a verb ing, and the basketball as a object, and when it started to rain as the complement. And so on. She was working on her homework when I come home. We were watching TV when the power went out. Next is about negative sentences. As the formula, subject plus was or were plus not plus verb ing. For the example, I was not eating lunch when you called. I as a subject, was as was or were, not as not, eating as a verb ing, lunch as the object when you called as a complement. They were not playing basketball when it started to rain. They as a subject, were as a was or were, not as not, playing as a verb ing, basketball as the object when it started to rain as the complement. And so on. She was not working on her homework when I come home. We were not watching TV when the power went out, and as a truck. So we go on to the next. It's about the interrogative sentences. Was or were plus subject plus verb ing plus question mark as the formula of these interrogative sentences. For the example, was I eating lunch when you called? Was as a was or were, I as a subject, eating as a verb ing, lunch as a object when you called as a complement. And also, were they playing basketball when it started to rain? Were as the was or were, they as a subject, playing as a verb ing, basketball as the object when it started to rain as a complement. And don't forget, we should always put the question mark. And so on. Was she working on her homework when I came home? Were we watching TV when the power went out? And go on to the next. Here are additional explanation. For the simple past continuous tense, can also be used to describe an action or situation that was happening habitually or repeatedly in the past. So in this case, it is often used with the time expressions such as always, often, and usually. And here are examples. He was always complaining about something. She were often late for school. So yeah, this is the question time. If you have any question, just email us. Have a good day, everyone.